I don't know, one's a Ferrari, one's a Hyundai. Which one would you drive? This week on Trucks, Cars, and Bikes, we're gonna look at two all-wheel drive, big horsepower, luxury sedans that are they wolves in sheep's clothing? Is the Maserati as good as the Ferrari would like for it to be? Or is Hyundai the real winner with their Genesis and the full-size G90? Well, I gotta get in them and drive them because I don't know a whole lot about these cars, but I know after a few miles, we can tell you a whole bunch more. Let's go on a ride. All right, so I'm gonna hit something that I know a lot of people really want to talk about first, and that's styling. When you look at these two cars, Hyundai has got this kind of more of this generic look to the car. It looks like they took some of the finer parts of a Lexus, a Mercedes, a BMW, and put it together with their own style. Very smooth and sleek look to the car. I'm not a fan of the wheels. I think you'll see the wheels change on that car pretty quickly, but it's kind of low key, and I'm sure with that Himalayan gray, it looks a little more low key and understated. The Maserati, on the difference with the big Triton logo on the front, obviously the logo on the car is literally 10 times bigger than the Genesis, with that waterfall grille and the way it's got that curved C shape and the split spoke, looks like 8 split spoke wheels, 7, I can't count. There's 7 split spokes, 14 spokes. Absolutely gorgeous. It's got the side vents on this, and this is the S4, the S4Q. I don't know, if you're a Maserati purist, you're not gonna like this because you're gonna want to correct me everything I'm saying. Anyways, beautiful car, beautiful design, and let's go make sure that the functionality of this can match the style. Okay. Well, the interior is plush, if I use that word now. I guess, how do you start this car? There we go. I push button on that side there. I have never been in a Maserati, never driven a Maserati, but I'm really excited to drive this car. This is Ferrari's sedan, really. The Maserati, this is the Ghibli, the Q4S, 4SQ. I know I'm gonna get some people correcting me, but that's one of the best parts about this TCB channel is I don't know a lot about some of the stuff, and I'm gonna figure it out as we go. I do know it's got a twin turbo, 3-liter V6, all-wheel drive, 8-speed transmission. It should make a really nice comparison with the Genesis G90 5.0 Ultimate all-wheel drive. I think in my mind these are competitors. They're close to the same price point, but of course they come from completely different worlds. So we're gonna put it in drive and pull off the lot and see what we think here. Okay, so one thing I gotta point out, if you're actually torn and thinking about one of these two cars, the Maserati, which you would believe owned by Ferrari, is more of a driver's car. They really want to design the car around the driver and the driver satisfaction, performance, and experience. But the one thing I don't want to be is a passenger, especially behind me, where I put the seat comfortable. Yeah, there's not too much room back there for the passenger, which on the other hand, just so happens I've been driving this car for the past week, which means I had the privilege of taking my 5-year-old daughter to school in this car. She literally has her own limousine seat with all of the controls for the climate, the seat itself, the radio, right at her fingertips to adjust her media with lots of room in the front. So if you have more passengers that traditionally ride with you, the Genesis is an obvious kind of first choice. Now let's see if the drivability matches the comfort. Okay, I'm gonna get comfy here. All right, I had to change up the outfit a little bit because the Genesis G90 is actually a car that was built as a limousine. We've all heard of the Equus, but in Korea, this is the preferred kind of limousine or chauffeured vehicle. So I wanted to dress a little more appropriate, like a chauffeur. This Genesis G90 is the 5.0 Ultimate. What that means is it has a 5-liter V8 engine, 420 horsepower. It's got an all-wheel drive H-track system. And for a big, long wheelbase car, it has a lot of power. And I wonder if it handles. All right, we're gonna head out on the main road, which means I'm gonna hit this drive mode button one time, puts it into sport mode. You know, for a big car, this car has incredible acceleration, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised. The long wheelbase should mean a very comfortable ride, very smooth ride. And this car, even in sport mode, really lives up to that luxury car feel. So you hear a little rumble of the V8 in this car. You think you want to press the gas pedal to hear more, but the car is so smooth, the ride's so nice, and it's not really asking for you to give the car more. It feels like it's very docile, but you know it has the horsepower under there if you do need to accelerate and merge. The long wheelbase doesn't quite handle as tight. It's not as a crisp road course car, maybe as the Maserati or some other sedans. But let's face it, what percent of the time are we really trying to drive like we're on a road course in a 4-door luxury sedan? Oh, Genesis takes that to another level with just unbelievable comfort, smoothness. I mean, this car just feels like I could drive it all day long and take advantage of the horsepower when needed. Okay, so we looked at the front ends, we looked at the sides. Now let's just get a quick glance at the back end real quick. The Genesis, this is a G90 5.0 Ultimate. H-track means it's all-wheel drive. A lot like the front, very subtle and supple and smooth, and kind of hides the exhaust up under the bumper cover and has a real clean look to it. On the other hand, I really like the way the back end of the Maserati looks. You know it's a Maserati. It has a unique look and design. It shows those 4 quad tip exhaust. Of course, the SQ4 badging. I will try not to make that mistake anymore. Say that correctly. But the Ghibli looks like it's got something to prove just by looking at the back of the car, the way the exhaust and the stance is in this car. So styling, sorry, Hyundai, Maserati takes that category. I found a special button. Can we get an up close of this right here? Sport mode. I think we need to rename the whole show. All right, so we are in sport mode. We are in drive. I'm going to hopefully put it into the manual transmission mode. Yes, manual mode. First gear. Let's see what the acceleration and the handling, and see if we can make these beautiful quad tip exhausts coming out of this V6 roar like an Italian supercar. Sounds good. That is a good, clean sound, not overbearing. I can see why this is much more of a luxury car than that Ferrari performance feel. It definitely has some acceleration, and the braking is actually fantastic. I'm really a fan of the way this car brakes, the way it feels. I think one of the other fun parts, and this is really one of those things that if you're watching this and you're interested in some of the things I'm doing and, I don't know, playing with cars, trucks, bikes, let me know. Comment, send a message. What do you want to see? What do you want to see me do? I'm going to get in things in sport mode and just drive them and talk about how I like them and what I like and how they drive. If there are certain features and functions that you think I need to highlight and stay on, well, you know, tell me, request it. If you're looking for the full bumper to bumper, tell me everything vehicle review, by all means, go visit our friends at the Motor Trend channel, because I am not an expert on everything or anything. I have a general feel and good knowledge about most trucks, cars, and bikes, especially the more popular stuff, popular nameplates. Maserati, I don't know a whole lot. I couldn't tell you the whole background story. I can tell you it has a sport mode, it's a turbo, it's all-wheel drive, and I'm going to tell you if I think this is a car that would be fun to own, to have as a daily driver, because that's really what the all-wheel drive, you know, is all about. It takes a car that should have that sports car background, the sports car feel, but you can drive it every day on the road. And this car is a good contender. parking lot, this car could be a load of fun. Right on that edge right here. It just handled. It knows what goes right to the edge. Little drift, but very controllable power. A whole lot of fun. A whole lot of fun. I think they rate this engine at 406 horsepower. For a 6-cylinder, it's got a lot of bang, a lot of punch, a lot of go. It doesn't feel like it keeps bringing that power, like a lot of higher displacement, more cylinders. It's got a real neat tone to it, especially since we just opened it up a little bit. That sport mode is letting the exhaust breathe. Great sound on the car, great throttle response for a turbo. Downshifts nicely. It's not overly annoying or too aggressive when you're trying to use the car as just a driver, but it's really neat when you can have something that's a daily driver. This car was over 80 grand new. This one is 2 years old, and this car's under 50 grand now. And this is a car that have that Ferrari style, that Maserati name, the performance, but for a much better value than some other luxury cars are on the scene, and I'd be okay with it. On the same token, I'm a V8 guy, 5.0 V8. That's why the Genesis has a little bit more punch. I don't know. All right, now we need to try the 0 to 60, or I guess the rolling, because we have cars coming up behind us. So let's feel that acceleration, sport mode, punch it. The car sounds great. You really feel like it moves at a great pace, but it's not overpowering. It doesn't take away from the luxury car feel. I think Hyundai has done a fabulous job with the transmission in this car. 7-speed or 8-speed automatic. I don't know, Michael will check the actual stats. I think compared to the Maserati, the Ghibli, definitely had more of a sports car feel and design to it. I think it was, it's made to be driven. The Genesis, obviously, they pride themselves on it's a great driver's car, but it's very much a preferred car to be driven in, sitting in the back. Big seats in the back, comfortable, they recline, and you can travel long distances and really have ultimate comfort. It's really like a super grand touring car, where the Maserati felt like it was a little bit more of a nimble around town car, if that makes sense. On the street, I maybe said it didn't feel so nimble, but when you're actually giving it some gas through some turns, the car doesn't want to break loose or drift very easy, but it goes where you point it. That all-wheel drive system really knows where to put the power down, and even on the loose gravelly surface, you feel the car grip the road, and it's very predictable, very easy car to drive, and it's a fun car to drive. I don't know if any chauffeured passenger would enjoy testing road course capability of a G90 sedan. It sure is fun to try. How about those brakes? Wow. I'll tip my hat to that, Genesis. Those are some fantastic brakes in this car. So without really trying to push the car too hard, and I mean, to really throw the car into a four-wheel drift, not made for that. It has the power to do it, traction control off, but being such a controllable car that really gets good grip with all four wheels, it's almost, it's not going to give you too much of a full drift, which is fantastic. If you want something that's controllable, predictable, fast, strong, built like a tank, this is the neat car. Okay, so had a lot of fun. Took the past hour, drove both of these fine automobiles, four-door sedans, but of the luxury variety, high horsepower, all-wheel drive. I gotta tell you, when it comes down to it, this is a personal preference decision. The styling, little Q goes to the Maserati, the status symbol, the Maserati. If you really want something that when you pull up in front of the valet, you get that bigger impact, the Maserati. For the drivability, the functionability, and The performance, I really like the Genesis, and I'll keep driving that car, but they're both spectacular automobiles. Appreciate you watching and keep looking. TCB's coming back with more. If it's got sport mode, truck, car, or bike, throw me a line, give us a message, give us a comment. I wanna know what you wanna see. What do you want me to do with these trucks, these cars, these bikes? And so we can have a whole lot of fun and keep building this channel. Make sure to subscribe and tell your friends. We'll be back. See you soon. That's all, folks.